Hello internets and welcome to another Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle. You can call me 12-Pack and today's battle is against someone called Johnny. Now, no real history behind this battle other than I just tried to record it 5 minutes ago but got interrupted. And since I'm not very experienced with editing software, I'm just gonna do another take and record the whole thing again. Hopefully the same thing does not happen twice. But, okay, let's jump right into team preview here. I'm using a somewhat new team build here and trying out something new in the form of actually using a Mega Pokemon on my team, which I normally try to avoid, but I wanted to use Mega Ampharos because Ampharos has always been kind of one of my favorites, and he's often forgotten at the bottom of NU. But he tends to put in a bit of work once he goes into Mega form, and you'll see this game he definitely is capable of doing some damage. So next to Ampharos here we have my Braviary, and holy crap guys, this thing is the single largest cause of disconnects I think I've ever had on my team. It's a bulk up substitute set, and I had at least 5 people rage quit out against this thing once I got set up for a sweep as soon. Yeah, like they just rage quit, and I was getting pretty pissed because a lot of the battles were really well played on my part, like allowing me to set up like perfectly and all these things, and then people have just rage quit. Another reason to start recording live, I suppose, but that takes so long. Anyway, this battle Braviary doesn't actually really do as much as he did in some of the ones I lost, but he still does a little bit, so stay tuned for that. And then we got Sableye here, who's basically here to burn things so that Braviary and others can set up. Also Taunt, because Prankster Taunt equals OP. And then we got Excadrill, who's basically just here for Rapid Spin and to block lightning attacks, or electric attacks, I guess is the proper name, against my Braviary. Vileplume is here as my Cleric, and Status Spreader, and then finally Shuckle is here, just because YOLO he's Shuckle. And then my opponent's team, at initial inspection, I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool, but upon closer inspection, it's like, yeah, this guy's a scrub. Because basically I saw Cofagrigus in the team preview and I'm like, whoa, cool. But then I looked at the rest of the team and I was like, wow, what a tool. But I'll go over it quickly here. Anyway, we got Greninja. Ooh, Greninja, you never see that. Who do? Delphox. Okay, Delphox is actually pretty cool. You don't see too many of them. So I'll give him props for that. And then Cofagrigus, who I've never actually seen another player use who I've battled. But I used him somewhat frequently myself, so I'm fairly familiar with his abilities. And then we got Florges, nothing really to report on that thing. It's pretty popular. Mega Mawile, who gives two fucks, see that every second battle anyway. And Cleft Key, which basically just indicates you should kill yourself. But enough about that, let's get right into this battle here and watch me destroy this guy.
Johnny is a short challenge. Nah.
So he's going to lead with Cleft Key, which I actually predicted. And instead of risking Sableye getting paralyzed, well, I guess that wouldn't really have mattered, I dropped Ampharos because most of them carry Thunder Wave, and Ampharos is immune to it. So I figured I'd be able to get some good damage off on this thing, or maybe hit whatever he switches in really hard. But he's going to turn out to be one of those light screen, or dual screen carrying Cleft Keys, and my Focus Blast is only going to do minimal damage to it. Which is a little disappointing, but he's going to pull out immediately and go into his Florges. And I had swapped my attacks up to go for Thunderbolt to see if I could do maybe a little bit more damage than the Focus Blast did, but this thing obviously has a lot invested in special defense, and it's not going to really give two shits about that attack. So, fearing the Moonblast or something like that, I'm going to peace out with Ampharos and bring in Vileplume to get that resisted hit. And as I predicted, here comes the Moonblast. But Vileplume's just going to sit here with his little derp face and not even feel that. And I was predicting him to be smart enough to swap out for fear of the incoming super effective poison attack, so I actually go for Teeter Dance here instead of Sludge Bomb, which is a good thing I did because it would not have even hit Klefki had I done that. And this way I'm able to paralyze the thing and hopefully neuter its effectiveness somewhat in this battle. Or at least until he switches out again. So I'm going to pull out with Vileplume here, not wanting to get paralyzed, I guess, and go into Shuckle to maybe set up some hazards while this thing is confused. And it turns out he's not going to get the confuse hacks and paralyze me instead, which Shuckle could honestly care less about. Paralyzing Shuckle is like paralyzing a rock. It just doesn't really make much of a difference one way or the other. But he's going to go into his Cofagrigus here for some reason. Don't really know why, since normally I personally use them to spread status. And since I'm already paralyzed, I don't really know why he would do that. But this looks like it's a more offensive-based Cofagrigus, which is cool, and it actually does a lot of damage to me, even though I resist, or even though I have max special defense, I should say. So I'm going to lock him into that with Encore, swap him into my Braviary in order to neutralize the Ghost attack, and then hopefully set up with said Braviary, as he's going to go into Delphox here, which is kind of interesting. So I'll drop my substitute and proceed to begin to set up here. Then I even had 2 people on my friends list rage quit against this Braviary. People who I have reliable battles against most of the time. It was quite disappointing. But another time. I'll get a good battle with him eventually. So he's just going to go for Psyshock and break my substitute in one shot, which is unfortunate, but not really too surprising. And this is where the lack of this thing carrying an item in the team preview when I first battled this guy finally makes sense, because he's actually got that ability Magician where he will steal my item once he attacks me. So that's kind of annoying and a bit OP, but with the loss of my leftovers, I just decide, YOLO, let's just kill this thing off and go down in a blaze of glory. America, American way, boy. But Braviary honestly wasn't going to be too effective against the rest of this guy's team anyway if I was not able to set up, and I'm certainly not going to be able to set up without my leftovers and the extremely low amount of HP that Brave Bird recoil left me with. So here comes Greninja. Ooh, I wonder what that's going to use. Either Ice Beam or Scald, and he does go for the Ice Beam. But Shuckle's not really going to give 2 shits about that, as he just sits here derping, eating his berry, and gets some of that HP back, and maybe set up a few more hazards before I go down. And even though Greninja is really OU and annoying, there's one thing that can be said, and that's that he's really easy to predict, since almost all of them run the exact same moveset of U-Turn, Dark Pulse, Scald, and Ice Beam. So it's pretty easy to take advantage of that most of the time, but I'm just going to leave my Shuckle in here to die, getting up my Stealth Rocks on the last turn before I go. So he did everything I wanted him to. Now Ampharos is going to come in here, and I'm fairly confident in my ability to survive any one attack from that thing, so I'm going to scare it out, and he's going to bring in his Florges again. And obviously I'm not going to be able to do much to that thing if the last attack I landed on it had anything to do with that. But he dodges my Focus Blast anyway, which is unfortunate, but as I said, it probably wouldn't have done much. So Ampharos is just going to leave to not get hit by that Moonblast, and Excadrill is going to come in to resist said Moonblast. He actually goes for a Calm Mind here, which is a little bit scary, because if he had any other kind of attack type besides Fairy, that could be very bad for my Excadrill. But he's going to be scared out and withdraw, not wanting to take some sort of steel attack from me, and go into Cofagrigus, who's probably going to want to burn me in order to neuter Excadrill's effectiveness. And right here I honestly should have gone for Swords Dance, but I still wanted to kill that stupid Florges off, then I went for a premature Iron Head. And as such, I don't do hardly anything to the Cofagrigus, which is unfortunate, but I'm just going to leave and bring in my Sableye to take the burn that I predict would be coming, and yes, he uses Will-O-Wisp, but since I have Bright Powder on the Sableye, I actually dodge it, which is kind of nice, even though being burned would not hinder my Sableye's effectiveness whatsoever. But he's going to be forced to swap into his Klefki here, but predicting the switch this time, I'm going to go for Taunt, and basically make him useless except for his Dazzling Gleam. And to add insult to injury, I'll just burn it to gradually wear it down a little more, as he does have Dazzling Gleam and hits me pretty hard with it, since that is Sableye's one weakness. And he's taken some damage from the burn, and I decide to stay in one more turn to rack up some additional burn damage on him and go for the recover there. And he's going to go for a second Dazzling Gleam. I was also hoping that he would miss a Dazzling Gleam due to me having Bright Powder, and then maybe I could swap out at mostly full HP. But that doesn't seem likely to happen, so I'm going to withdraw with Sableye and bring in my Vileplume to get the resistance against the Dazzling Gleam. Once again, even though I can't do anything to this thing, like, from an attack standpoint, I can actually stall it out if it wants to stay in here. But I'm not sure if it does. Oh no, he does want to stay in here, so he's just going to go down in a blaze of glory and paralyze my Vileplume, which is basically pointless since I do have aromatherapy and will just cure myself as soon as the opportunity presents itself. So I'll teeter dance him just to be sure he doesn't get up another light screen, or not to be sure exactly, but to make the chance somewhat less. And this turn he actually does hit himself, and that'll be the end of Klefki, thank God. Fuck, that thing is annoying. And I'll also take this turn to heal my own paralysis, which, well, much like paralyzing Shuckle, paralyzing Vileplume doesn't really make much of a difference either, since his speed is like base 50, I think? Maybe base 40? I don't know. But he's going to go into his Mawile here, and this was starting to get a little bit scary because I can't damage him with Sludge Bomb, and he could just get a Swords Dance up as a freebie here as I'm forced to switch out. But I don't think he actually goes for it. Oh, this was kind of amusing. Due to the Sticky Web, I'm actually faster than Mawile with Vileplume, one of the slowest Pokemon in the game, so I found that kind of hilarious. It turns out to actually have Ice Fang. Why he didn't go for Swords Dance there, I don't know. That's totally what I would have done, but I actually get the Effect Spore, which was extremely lucky, and I put him to sleep, effectively neutralizing the Mawile for the time being. And he's confused and asleep, which is kind of a little bit overkill, but this will permit me the opportunity to swap into my Excadrill, set up a Swords Dance, and potentially go to work with this thing finally. This is going to bring Cofagrigus back in here, doubtlessly going to try and Will-O-Wisp me as he showed that he had it earlier. So let's see. Oh, I guess... Oh, wow, epic play on my part. I guess I'm going to double switch out back into Sableye here, and this time he does actually land the Will-O-Wisp, which is not really going to make too much of a difference to me. Oh, I think I want to taunt him. That's what this whole thing was about here. Oh, he's going to switch out? Okay. Let's see if I go for Recover here or Taunt. I'm not sure which. I'm going to say I'm going to go for Recover. Can't quite remember. Yeah, we don't care about that. Yeah, I do go for Recover. So, okay, smart play on my part, getting my HP back to a reasonable level by scaring out that Cofagrigus. So I'm around half right now, and I'll swap back out, bringing in my Braviary again, this time as fodder since he can't really do much to the rest of my opponent's team. So he's just going to absorb this attack and go down for the team. America! Fuck yeah! So he's down. Rest in peace, Braviary. Stars and Stripes forever. So Ampharos will come back in, and I'm hoping to force a confrontation between me and Greninja, but he's still too pussy to stay in, and he's going to go back to floor just for, like, what is this, the third time? But this time, I think I actually used Thunderbolt, finally cluing into the fact he's going to always swap into this thing, and since he has Light Screen not up anymore, I'm able to actually do a somewhat decent amount of damage to it finally. Now the question is, do I stay in? No, I don't. Doubting my ability to KO him with another attack, I'm going to go back into Excadrill just to play it safe. And this time I think I do manage to set up the Swords Dance. Oh, and it turns out he does actually carry Psychic, but that's not going to be threatening to my Excadrill either, since I also resist Psychic in addition to Fairy. So, that's good for me, I suppose. So my Quick Claw allows me to move first, which is completely pointless because he switches anyway. I should have had Air Balloon on this thing, I didn't think of it at the time, but it doesn't really matter in this battle. So now, the confrontation between Excadrill and Pythagoras once again. Man, this has been like the battle of the rivalries between our various Pokemon. They keep running into each other, but not actually completing the confrontation. So I'll hit it with an Earthquake, praying that it will die, but Pythagoras is really bulky and lives in the red, and he is finally able to burn me. So we both managed to pull off our respective goals, except I don't actually manage to KO him in that turn. On the second turn I do though with Iron Head. I get mummied again, but it doesn't really matter since nothing honestly has an ability that Mold Breaker will make a difference against. And I guess this way if something hits me with a physical attack I can mummy them too. But nothing left on his team has physical attacks, so that ploy is kind of foiled. So Excadrill's going to have to go down with the ship here, because nothing on my team wants to swap into that thing any longer, so rest in peace Excadrill, you took out Pythagoras and served your country. Well done, my friend. Now Ampharos will come back in, and do I finally force the confrontation between me and this thing? No, he's going to pussy out yet again and go back into his Florges. And every time he switches out, he's taking Stealth Rock damage, but this guy doesn't really seem to care about that. And this time the Stealth Rock damage is going to be enough so that my Ampharos will finally be able to KO it, I believe. And I used Focus Blast there because I was predicting him to go for Ice Beam, and I wanted to get super effective damage off on the Greninja, even though I probably would have KO'd it with Thunderbolt anyway. I'm not really sure why I did that, whatever. But this turn I will outspeed and finally be able to get rid of that damn Florges. Fuck, that thing is annoying me. Seen a lot of them lately, but this time Ampharos prevails. Now Mawwile's going to come back in, still asleep, and this part was kind of dangerous because if he did wake up and Sucker Punch me, that would bring me to a level of HP where that Greninja would then be able to KO me with Ice Beam before I was able to KO him with Thunderbolt. But fortunately he does not wake up. I'm able to OKO him with Focus Blast. Thank Christ. And now Greninja will come in and the matchup of the battle is about to happen. Will I be correct and survive the Ice Beam, or will he OKO me? Moment of truth is now. Nails me and I live with 41 HP. Ampharos is a tank. And I'll blast back with the Thunderbolt, not wanting to risk Focus Blast missing because that would be the most anticlimactic end to this battle ever if I missed the Focus Blast. And trust me, stuff like that always happens to me, so I figured I'd just play it safe and get it over with. So that was a pretty long battle, but a very enjoyable one from my standpoint. I did get pretty lucky getting that Mawile put to sleep with Vileplume's Effect Spore. Had that not happened, the battle probably would have turned out much differently. But hey, that's the way it goes. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. So anyway, good game, Johnny. For God's sake, change your team up a bit and be original. You got Pythagoras, that's a step in the right direction. But if I were you, I'd start with ditching that Klefki or Greninja. But thanks so much for watching, people, and I hope you all enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed using Mega Ampharos, but I wish my Braviary could have done a little more. Maybe now I will have to start recording some battles live so that you can see what he's capable of and all the people he makes rage quit. But with that, I will see you all next time. Bye for now.